Alright, welcome to part 3. So for this part of the lab, we're asking you to use a while loop. So the loop should just keep going until the user types stop. And every time the loop runs, the turtle should move up 10 and then draw a circle. So there's a link in the lab that goes to another tutorial about Turtle that has instructions for how to draw circles. It turns out it's just, for this case, tibi.circle, and then the radius of the circle you want it to draw. So it's not super complicated. I just haven't used it for the previous parts of this solution. Because the main thing to talk about here is the while loop. So the thing to consider is that we want the loop to keep going until the user types stop. Which means that, so we're going to need a variable that keeps track of the loop, and we're going to need to check to make sure that it is not the word stop, right? So we're going to do while, and then, whatever variable name does not equal, and then the string stop. So we're also going to need to ask the user to, at some point, give us input, so we know whether or not we should stop. So here I'm just going to use the variable name option, because that's what I used in the example up at the top here, and I figure it might as well be consistent, right? That makes sense. So while option does not equal stop, we're going to basically have Tibi draw, go up and then draw a circle, or draw a circle and then go up, it doesn't really matter. So it's going to be tibi.circle, and then I'm just going to pick a size, let's say 30, and then tibi.forward 10, because it says have the turtle move up 10. Now, I specified up, not just to the right, which is the default direction that the turtle's facing, which is why before I start anything, I have Tibi turn to the left 90 degrees so that the turtle is then facing up towards the top of the screen. This is a minor thing. If you didn't do it, don't worry about it, but it's one of those things where you have to, again, kind of put yourself in the head of where the turtle is and then adjust accordingly. So we want to have a way to update option. Well, since it's a string and we have to ask the user, hey, do you want to keep going? We're going to say option equals input, and then I just like to use some, pretty basic instructions so the user knows what to do. So for example, type stop to stop. Well, that makes sense, right? So they can see what's going on. So here we have the loop. We've got our loop control variable. We have the thing that's going to determine whether the loop keeps going or not, depending on whether or not it's the person has typed in stop. And we have our instructions for the turtle to draw a circle and then go up 10. And that'll just keep going as long as the person continues to type anything else. So you might also want to put instructions that say, press enter to continue or something like that, just so the user knows they don't have to type. They have to type something, but they shouldn't type stop if they want to keep going. I'm not going to bother because it won't fit on the screen if I do that. The only other thing we have to do here is make sure that option exists before the loop starts, right? Because otherwise we're going to get a name error when Python gets here and it goes, I don't know what option is. What are you talking about? So in order to deal with that, we just have to basically create the option variable and set it to literally anything that's not the word stop. So here I have it set to an empty string, but you could set it to keep going. You could, set it to Tibi rules. It literally doesn't matter with the Z. Tibi rules with a Z, obviously, it's important. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the string is as long as it doesn't say stop. Because if you set option to stop first, then the loop will never start and we never get to draw our circles. So as long as you have that, as long as you got the while loop and a place for the option to update inside the loop will keep going as long as the person's typing things in. So I tested this out a minute ago and I drew this lovely set of circles on a line going up. It's very exciting. So hopefully that makes sense. Again, for this part of the lab, the first 3 parts of this lab, we're just kind of trying to break things into pieces and show you each individual piece. So you've done input. multiple times. You've done if, elif, else statements, and now you've done a loop. So for the next part, we're going to draw all, pull it all together and have one program that does all these different things. So we'll see what that looks like in a minute.